welcome. Nice to see you guys as well.
This is a special episode.
I didn't realize what was happening.
We just started recording, so we
never
put on
know
our
what's
official...
happening either. It's okay. We're just kind of here, and I think I sometimes get possessed and like something takes over in the recording of the podcast.
Your sister was possessed?
Yes.
I saw that TikTok and it terrified me.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Isn't that creepy?
She doesn't like to talk about it.
So scary.
Because she doesn't remember it.
Yeah.
But I do.
You said that in such a creepy way.
Knows.
But I do.
I do. Yes. Okay. This is a special episode. We have Jeri and Ciara from Ladies and Tangents.
The air we breathe. Ciara.
This is a crossover, a fun episode. We just had a fun episode on their show.
Part 1 of our sleepover where we play games together.
Yeah. And it got deep. We got emotional.
Yeah.
There were tears shed.
Yeah. And
really
now we're going to get
beautiful.
creepy.
And now, now it's late night in the sleepover. So
we talked about
naturally
boys and
stories.
then we cried. And now we're going to
now we're bringing out the Ouija board.
Yeah.
Turn off all the lights, get the flashlights under our chins.
Yes. We should have played
do
MASH. Do you guys remember that
wonders.
game?
Oh my God, I love MASH. I always ended up with like 400 kids though. And I'm like, come on.
In a shack. And
In
you're
a
like,
shack.
I'll never survive. I only make $12 a year.
It was always like 3 really reasonable answers and then one that was just like out of this world. And I always got like that one.
I always cheated and I would pick the number that I knew I was going to get the shit I wanted.
Great.
You like counted ahead.
Yeah. Or I would just like fully take control and be like, I'll just do it for myself. And then like choose the number and then
So
just like cheat
Jeri and
circle the
Corinne are the
mansion.
planners.
Yes. I like to just
I'm like,
go.
ooh.
I'm like,
I
let
got
the
my
world
crush
take
in a
me.
mansion and $1 million.
The world
Look
will
at
just
you.
happen to me, and I'll just take all the hits and like,
What luck.
And then I get upset when I'm like, 400 children. My God, I'm on a teacher salary or whatever it was, my job.
I was always like 0, 1, 2, 4 cats. Like it's never going to be.
And then you're like, 4 cats, 4 cats, 4 cats.
Well, I am deathly allergic of cats, so it was kind of like I'm either gonna have kids or my throat's gonna close.
How did I know?
I got that an inhaler just for cats. It's the only thing I need it for.
I had an inhaler because my mom thought I was smoking in the 8th grade, and I was like,
What?
I have exercise-induced asthma, but she got my chest x-rayed.
Dude, Jeri, this is so funny.
wow.
But I grew out of it.
Me too.
But I think I just actually stopped exercising, which is what happened.
Okay, we found our doppelgangers. This is unreal.
Yeah.
I just told Jeri upstairs, I was like, is it weird if I invite them to my wedding?
I would be honored.
What are you doing next September 2023?
We're going to your wedding.
We're going to your wedding.
Yes. Do you guys ever get wedding invites from your listeners in the mail?
Yes.
Yeah,
Well,
people
not-
want us to officiate, not in the mail.
Yeah, people do want us to officiate. They want Jeri to be the photographer.
That would be so awesome.
I am shooting so many of our listeners' weddings.
Yeah. Yeah, she just like has started
so
shooting.
cool.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
It
That's
is super
awesome.
cool.
When I get the invites, or like, I guess when I say I get them, but it's like both of us, but our P.O. box is in Boston.
She
so
gets
like,
them all.
I open the mail. And I'm always like, part of me really wants to go, but then the other part of me is like, they're probably just like sending it to be nice.
Nice.
And
But then
then
part of
you
me is
actually
like,
show
what would they do if we actually RSVP'd? Yes. And they're like, oh no, we're over budget. Like we have to uninvite them.
Oh no,
2 more
I didn't
dinners.
save a seat for you.
I think they would have like uninvited their uncle.
Yeah,
Just
actually,
to
I
have
want
you
my
there.
podcasters
Yeah, sorry, Uncle Steve.
Yeah.
You're not allowed.
You can't come anymore.
I feel bad. I do have an Uncle Steve and I want him to come to my future wedding. So I feel like that was a mean example.
Well, the nice thing is that you and I are already invited to your wedding, so
You wait, what? I didn't follow.
we are both already invited to your wedding.
Oh, I'm invited to
your
my
wedding.
wedding. Okay.
She's like, well, bold of you to assume you're coming to my wedding.
Wow, I was like, wow, should I
going to
leave?
whose wedding?
Should I leave? I'll be out here if you need me.
It seems like you don't need me.
Yeah.
Well, congrats on your engagement. That's exciting.
Thank you. Yeah.
I shot the engagement.
She did. And
he gave me the ring to bring.
my engagement was during my pregnancy announcement.
Oh my gosh.
So it was a really
Double
beautiful
whammy.
moment.
Yeah.
But it was something that
Two
we had
for the price of one, you know what I'm saying?
he had thought about it for a while, but it was just like really going to be when we had a photographer who was Jeri present there. So
What do you mean when you had a photographer? You guys are cousins and you live like down the street from each other. Isn't that an accessible thing?
I know, but my fiance
Jeri's
did
very
not get his. My fiance will not get his picture taken. He's like, so no, don't.
Yeah.
So I knew, I was like, if he just asked, like, hey, we should go get a photo shoot done, I'm like, you're gonna propose. Like,
I told him, I was like, just take her on a walk. I'll hide in a bush. Like, we will figure this out together.
Is that what you did?
Yeah.
You were in a bush?
No, we planned.
we planned to take like engagement or not engagement, maternity photos, just like a
Like an
pregnancy announcement
Yeah.
type. So we were gonna have like a board that said like
I said I'll bring a letterboard and we'll put
like baby Parsons
whatever
due whenever she was due.
I was taking their
Do
picture.
you know when she was due? Do you remember?
October or something.
So I told
Do
Shane,
whatever.
I was like, Shane and Corey, can you go put the stuff on the board? I'm going to take some pictures of Ciara and Noah, her older son, and do some solo shots of her while you guys get the board ready. And so Corey walked over with the board and he turned it around and it said, will you marry me instead of Baby Parsons.
It was actually really cute.
There's like nothing better than being a part of a surprise like that. Like I want to be the person hiding in the bushes to surprise someone else. I don't like being surprised, but I want to be I want to help surprise other people.
We
That's
realized afterwards that I never actually even said yes. I just screamed really loud for a really long time. And then I was like, give me the ring. Give me the ring.
Better.
Just a giant shriek.
That's amazing.
He was like, so yes. I was like, yeah, we're having a baby. So like, I'm not gonna say no.
I'm not gonna say no.
Makes sense.
Noah in the background yelled yeet at one point, and I'm like, this
My
is
son
fitting.
was just screaming yeet in the back, and I was like, I love this for me.
On brand.
It's fun.
That's amazing.
What a dream.
Yeah.
Well, this is
Two Girls, One Ghost.
Two girls, one ghost. It's always fun to do it with others. That's amazing.
And obviously, we have more voices here because this is part 2 of our sleepover with Ladies and Tangents, Jeri and Ciara.
Yes.
And you guys have kids.
We do.
And kids are creepy.
Yes.
We were creepy kids. It sounds like you guys were both creepy kids as well.
We were.
Jeri, you played the Ouija board often.
When I got into college is when I started, but that's because I had a lot of paranormal encounters that I didn't really understand. And so a friend of mine started playing. I had some really cool experiences with it and one pretty terrifying experience with it. So I don't do it often anymore now that I have children because I'm like, that's just asking for trouble.
Not trying to invite anything over this way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was not a Ouija board fan, but my mom tells me, so like when we were younger, we had a very small house. Well, it was an apartment, but it was only one bedroom. So like my crib and bed was in the room with her. And she said one night in particular, she was like sleeping and she woke up because it was thunderstorming. And then like the lightning flashes. And I was just sitting up in my crib staring at her while she was sleeping.
That is out of a horror movie.
And like, if you see
Toss
me,
the baby. This one's
Right?
broken.
Yeah,
if you see me, I have very dark hair, very dark brown eyes. So like, I was born with that way. So I was just like dark eyes, dark hair, just like staring at her.
Damien from
like,
The Omen. Just
Yes.
So that's, my mom always loves to tell that story when I talk about how creepy I am. And I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then my kids are just like, I mean, not the baby, but I have multiple experiences where my son would like, we used to live in an apartment complex as well, and I would pull in. So it was like a bunch of apartments and like a circle parking lot that you could go in. And it was super late at night, so nobody was out there, but there were a lot of cars. And he was like, watch out for the little boy in the road. And I was like, it's 9:00 at night. So I was like, where?
Oh my
and he's
God.
like, right there. He's like pointing. And he's like, that
my
little boy right
gosh.
there. And I was like,
oh!
there's a little boy. So then I was like, okay, well, let's get out of the car, because I was like, maybe I'm missing something, and there is a kid out here, because there were just kids like playing all the time. I'm like, there's a lot of foliage.
How old was your son at the time?
I would say probably 3 or 4.
3 or 4. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so
that's like the age.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, let's get out. And I was trying to look, because I'm like, if there's a little kid out here and they got like, I don't know what's going on. And there was nobody out there. And then he was like, no, right there. He's like pointing to a spot. And I was like, let's go inside the house. Like, I can't.
This is like Sixth Sense.
Yeah.
I see dead people.
Oh, it was so creepy. I was like, stop it. Stop talking to me right now. And then he also would talk to me. I think I've talked about this on our podcast, but he would talk to me all the time about his sister, and she went to jail, and he would say about how she died, and like would tell me in great details about his sister. And I was like, you're an only child. And
wow. Wait, what are the details? Do you remember them? So it's like a reincarnation, past life situation.
So he's 10 now, and this was probably when he was 2 or 3, like really just starting to put things together. So I can't remember fully, but I know it was, I think, a fire. I want to say a fire, something like that. That was like an accident. And he would get like scared then that would happen to him, because and I would say, why are you afraid of that? And he would say, my sister. And I was like, ah!
Oh,
yeah. Okay. We just recently had like a very long conversation about reincarnation, and it is so wild. Like, how souls are reincarnated and reborn, and like when you can remember, and like how all of a sudden you just forget it. Like Corinne, when she was a kid, you used to tell your mom, say what you used to say.
There were multiple instances. My dad traveled a lot for work, and my mom was like terrified to be home alone with me because I would just say creepy shit all the time. Yeah. But there were 2 when I was 3 years old. One time I was frustrated, and she said, I mean, you guys know, like with little kids, they have a certain way of like speaking that sounds young because they're a little kid. But she said in both of these instances, I was very articulate and well-spoken, and like had some confidence about my voice. And in one of them, I was frustrated with her, and I said, how come you're the mom now? And she was like, because
I have chills.
You were the mom before? And she said, I just like kind of snapped out of it and like went back to myself again.
Like continued on.
And then that same year, so this was when I was 3 years old, and we lived in this house, kind of like a rural part of New Hampshire. And the second time I said, I want to go back. And she said, back where? Because we had actually just recently moved from one town to the other. So she's like, do you want to go back to Guilford? Because we'd moved to Littleton, New Hampshire from Guilford, New Hampshire. And I said, no. And she said, well, where do you want to go back to? And I said, I want to go back to heaven. And it was so weird because my mom was like, I wasn't in daycare. I wasn't in school. Like none of the TV. I watched like Lady and the Tramp and like Fox and the Hound. Like there was, we did not talk about it. Like my parents eventually like forced me into Catholicism, but it was not talked about. Heaven wasn't talked about, dying, ghosts, none of it. And she was like full chills, like, oh, you're going to bed now. Like we're not talking about
back to heaven.
Throw the baby out.
And like it's so weird as the parent who experiences it, because I wanted to like keep pushing for questions because I was so curious, but I was also like, I don't want to make this like a core memory for him where he's like traumatized.
Or ask leading questions where like they're like, exactly, oh, mom's into it. Like let me just start saying all this other random stuff.
Right. And it would always happen like really, like very randomly. Like I remember that conversation about his sister happened when I was driving to work. So I was dropping him off at the babysitter, and it was just like out of the blue from the backseat of the car. And I swear to God, I almost slammed on my brakes, and I was like, I'm sorry, what? Come again?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Forrest is not old enough to speak at all, but I mean, he has definitely looked at places in his room and pointed at things. He's a year and a half. So he's been acknowledging things in the room that I can't see. And so I am just very like waiting kind of for that to happen. But my older son, Ollie, who's 3, before he was calling us back into his room a lot because he said he could hear something. And Shane when he went in was like, okay, but I checked outside. I went into the attic. There's no but. Like he kept saying that he heard something moving above his head. And so we thought like, oh, maybe there's like a rodent in the attic.
Yeah.
And so Shane went up and looked, and there was nothing in there, no signs that there had been something there. And then the one night he called us in and said that Bubba was crawling on the ceiling. And
it is so creepy. It's so creepy. I feel like I just shrunk.
Yeah, we're both like going into ourselves right now. Retreating.
What's like, so Bubba is what he calls his brother. And so I said, you see Bubba on the ceiling? And he said, Bubba's crawling on the ceiling. And we had 2 miscarriages before we had our kids. And our second one, I was 16 weeks along when we lost him. And we named him, like that was something we were actively kind of like teaching Ollie about. Not so much like about miscarriage, but just saying like, you have another sibling. He lives in the sky. He doesn't live with us. Because I want him to understand that part of it, like having a connection to something that's not here, and it not being like, yes, it is sad, but also like I want to try to remove the stigma as much as I can.
Right.
And so all I kept thinking is like, is Jonah, the baby that we lost, like, is he crawling on your ceiling? Is he here?
That's interesting.
And if so, like, could you get down?
Come on the floor.
Or
at the very least,
dust the fan if you could, honestly.
Yeah, right. It's dirty up there.
Just don't be generally upside down, which is a creepy position to be in.
Yeah.
Like, just be right side up at least.
Although if I could climb on the ceiling, I would.
I've heard though that if like spirits are high, that's better.
Is it?
Like then if they're closer to the ground?
I haven't
heard that.
I thought that I had heard that spirits who like have a like more positive energy are higher up.
Oh, okay.
So he was like real positive because he was
real positive. Yeah.
I couldn't be talking out of my ass because we say often that we don't know dick about shit.
Yeah, we don't.
So,
okay,
I
but
don't know.
Honestly, there's literally no way to know anything about the paranormal factually. So it is so much of what if or conspiring or believe. Like you can believe
theories.
whatever. Yeah, it's theories. My mom had a miscarriage before she had my sister, who's the oldest of the 3 of us. And she, like a couple years ago, had this dream of like a boy in his like late 20s. And she like believes, and he like talked to her and they had a conversation, and she believes it was like the son she never had, the one that she had a miscarriage.
Wow.
Yeah.
Chills. I had a dream like that after I had both my miscarriages. I was in my childhood bedroom and I was breastfeeding 2 babies. And then, it gets silly, but then I looked down and they were puppies. So then I was breastfeeding puppies. So that's how you know it's a dream. But I looked up and in the doorway, because I kept screaming, like, where are my babies? Where are my babies?
These are puppies.
Right.
Yeah, this is not what I wanted to
These
do.
are puppies.
Yeah, they're innocent. So it's like, and pure. So that's, the symbolism there is the same.
Yeah.
And I see a 2-year-old little blonde boy standing in my doorway, and I just felt so emotional. And for the longest time, I thought that was Jonah. And then recently I looked at my oldest son and I'm like, oh my God, that was you. Like I fully believe I saw my son. Oh my
God.
Before. Isn't that wild? And like the fact that
chills.
I lost 2 babies.
Oh my God.
And then my son who was born looks exactly like the boy that I saw in my dream.
Mm-hmm. It was almost like he was there to be like, hey,
I'm coming. You lost these 2, but I'm coming.
Yeah.
Okay, another thing. The puppies sounded silly, but you have 2 dogs, don't you?
Yeah. I do.
What if your babies are reincarnated as the dogs and that was a sign?
It is a boy and a girl, and that's what I lost.
Oh my God. Wow.
Because they're still in your family, but just in a different way.
Yeah.
I love that.
And I truly believe that Mosby is like a person.
Yeah. No,
I mean, you saw him giving such attitude before we started because there's a ball under the couch that he wants.
So
You're like, come on.
Yeah.
But like, I can hold him like a baby. Like
she does.
He jumps into my arms like that.
And he's not a small dog. If you're thinking, no, he's a big boy.
Well, that makes me very happy.
Yeah.
But like one of the things that like we hear a lot and we've talked about a lot on our podcast is about like traveling souls, and the idea of it, if you haven't heard about it before, is like when you are reincarnated, there are like a particular number of people that oftentimes in your new lives you will still be connected to in some way. And so maybe it is your family dog, or maybe it's your best friend, or maybe it's the person that you marry, or it's your brother or your mom.
Like a lot, like someone you met like in childhood, like, you know, like there's just people in your life that you meet that make an impact. Mm-hmm. And they don't have to be there for your whole life, the entirety of, but like I feel like they're there and your souls are meant to cross.
And sometimes souls double dip.
Yeah.
Like your grandpa might be your future child.
Yeah. I swear to God, my daughter that I just had in October, my aunt passed away 12 years ago, and I swear to God that is like my aunt reincarnated.
Wow.
First of all, they look very similar, and then my grandma has just like the strongest bond with her. They like understand each other, and my grandma will come over and just like hold her like this, and the baby falls asleep immediately. And my grandma's like, "That's how I used to hold Lori," and like all of these things. She'll like do things with her that would work for my Aunt Lori when she was a baby, and my daughter will respond immediately to it. Yeah. And then she snorts and like snores a lot, which they used to call my Aunt Snory Lori when she was a baby. And like that, I've never heard a baby that snorts and snores like my baby does. And
wait,
so it's
Ciara,
just,
this is amazing.
I know. I am just like, and I don't know. There's just like when I watch her and my grandma, like I know it's my baby, but like when I watch her with my grandma, it feels very like a maternal, like this is not the first time they've met.
Wow.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
I wonder if when she's like around 3 or 4, if she'll say anything about her past life.
I can't wait. I honestly can't wait. I mean, I don't want to say anything because I don't want to like push it, but I just want to see if it comes, because like already the way that we're feeling towards her, it feels very like we knew you. We know you.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing.
It's just so interesting too, like as human beings, that you can like pick up certain energy. Like there's just so much like unspoken language and understanding. And I feel like that has to do with like the spirit realm as well. Like there's just a certain understanding that like these two people have connected before, or like lived together before.
Yep.
It's
like
not a new relationship being built.
The fact that when she's just like in the presence of my grandma, she instantly relaxes constantly. Like nobody else. She'll go to my like mother-in-law's house and like she'll be like, she was a little difficult. Like she cried for a while, and I've never seen her cry for my grandma. Like it's just like as soon as she's there, it's instantly.
Because they know each other.
Yeah. It's really beautiful.
I had a friend pass away when I was in 2nd grade, and we had only seen each other at CCD. We went to church together, and that was like she was my church friend, and she had cerebral palsy, and so she was like my first experience with someone who had a disability, and I didn't look at her differently. That was just my friend. And she just, instead of being able to walk without crutches, she needed crutches to help her walk. Like not a big deal. Well, she passed away at a sleepover. And she choked. Wow. And when I was in college, I was devastated. I remember exactly where I was when I found out the news. I was numb. It was one of the most traumatic things that's ever happened. And her, I had seen her parents like after that, but like I always felt guilty because we didn't go to the same school and we only saw each other on Sundays. I felt like I didn't have the right to grieve her in the way that I felt that I was grieving her. And when I was in college, there was a guy who lived on my floor. He is now, he's a medium, and he's like been on the Steve Harvey show. He's been on Maury. Like he's actively like, he's read like Tony Braxton and stuff.
Gosh, I have chills and I haven't even heard the full story.
So he walked in to the lounge where all my friends and I were hanging out, and he's like, "Hey, I just saw you guys in here. I wanted to introduce myself. My name's Reggie." And I said, "Hey, Reggie, there's some really weird stuff happening in my dorm room. Can you explain to me what's going on?" And he said that there were 3 spirits around me. One was a man who had completed suicide. And then his name started with R, and he's like, he is like your family, but he's not your family. And he comes around when you are about to make a bad decision because he made a split-second decision and his life is gone. And so he's kind of like someone who's watching over you, trying to guide you.
Wow.
And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
None of that rings a bell.
And then he said that there's 2 women. At that point in time, both my grandmas had passed. And he said that one of them was my grandma and the other was a little girl. And I was like, I'm not going to say anything, because my boyfriend at the time, who grew up in the same town with me, I'd been with for 4 years, didn't know about my friend who passed. So there's
it happened so young.
No way that this guy who just walked in here knows anything about her.
Yeah.
So he said, I keep seeing popcorn and candy and pretzels, and she choked at a sleepover. And he said, I never say names because I'm always wrong, but she says you'll know Emily. And I left the room. I was hysterical because that was her name.
Gosh.
And the fact that she was there, he's like, she's here with your grandma. They came together. Their headstones are next to each other. And yeah.
Oh my
so
God.
anytime I visit my grandma, I also go and visit Emily.
Oh my gosh.
It
Wasn't there like a part 2 with the wall?
Yes. So he told me, he's like, you guys are connected. He's like, I see a string from you to her, almost like you had a bond before this life. Like you guys were like sisters. That's how close you were. So
like maybe in another life,
it validated me feeling like I am feeling such tremendous loss from this person that I didn't even see very often. And it's because I thought that was the wine. And I was like, hell yeah, chug that straight from the bottle.
She's trying to sober up now. We're 1 bottle deep each.
But I was also going to school to be a special education teacher. And she was the reason that I wanted to do that.
Oh my gosh.
So he was like, you have this connection, this bond with her, and she's with you. She is with you all the time. And she was very, very active in my life. Like she would sit in front of my mirror and my straightener would turn on and off. I would hear my name. My makeup looked like someone was playing in it. Like, you know, when a little kid has like makeup and they just dig. And so now the powder's everywhere. Yeah. I would come back and I lived alone. Like at this point, I didn't have a roommate. I came in and it had looked like someone had done that in my makeup. And he's like, yeah, she sits here and she plays. And I had not told him anything about her, but he kept running his hand on my wall. And he was like, do you hear stuff like this? And I said, yeah, but again, I live in a dorm room. Like I didn't think anything of it. And he goes, she slides her hand along the wall, which is what she would do when she didn't have her crutches because she couldn't walk. And he's like, but I want you to know that she can walk. She's fine, but she knows that you wouldn't recognize her if she was presenting herself in a different way.
Oh my God.
Right?
I have had full body chills many times on our podcast, but never so much that like my whole skull has like goosebumps.
This is beautiful because it truly, like, she feels like your sister.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The way that she's acting in the afterlife. And like, she knows that now because she's in the afterlife and she can, like, all her souls are connected.
Right.
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh,
yeah.
Now I got
that was one of the coolest things that's ever happened. And like, I felt her around me for a very, very long time, and I don't feel her anymore. Like I could tell if I walked into a room and I felt a presence, I knew if it was Emily or not.
Yeah.
And I don't feel her anymore. But from what I learned through talking to Reggie, because I talked to him a lot about it, and he would say like, she's your friend. Like she's here to be your support. And I was in an abusive relationship. I was in a lot of turmoil. And so once I got to a place where I was so much more settled and I was in a healthy relationship and I felt like I was on a good path, it was like I didn't feel her anymore. Yep. And it was sad, but at the same time I felt peaceful because I'm like, she knows that I'm okay. She knows that she doesn't have to. Yeah.
That is beautiful. Wow. I really want, and I say this to Corinne a lot, like I really wish we had a Reggie, like a friend who is a medium. All of my connections to the paranormal world are in my dreams or like an astral like experience. I've astral projected once and it was like terrible. It was really cool.
What is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know a ton about it because it happened like kind of accidentally.
Okay.
Yeah. I was sleeping and like I felt myself wake up, but I could see myself sleeping in the bed. And I was like,
your soul essentially leaves your like
body.
Physical person.
Great.
Oh, wow.
And I had this like
Love
really
that.
long conversation with this woman. And I think like, I swear, I know they say like in dreams, like you can only ever create or see someone that you've seen in your life. But like,
Right.
I've never seen this woman before. And I swear if I saw her on the street, I would immediately recognize her from this. Like we sat, she had very curly dark hair, and we sat and we talked like about life and about like my connection to the astral plane. And she told me to follow her. And I was at the time living in an apartment with like tons of doors. Like every hallway like had 20 doors. And I remember following her through like multiple doors. And then all of a sudden I had like got very dark, and my body was like, my soul was sucked back into my body. And it was like out of a horror movie where I like sprung awake because I felt like something else was in the room.
No.
Oh
I have chills. I have chills.
But that's all to say, like, there's just so much about the paranormal world that like I feel like I can access, but I don't understand. And there are a lot of spirits. Like we have a friend we lost a couple of years ago that we've tried to, you know, understand if she's around, like how is she? And I just wish I had a Reggie to like help me understand what spirits are around me. Like I want to know, do I have a spirit guide or do I have a guardian? Like who's watching over me?
Yes.
And it's one
I
of
want
those
terribly
awkward
to
things,
have
too,
him.
with, like,
I want him on the podcast. Like I want to call him and be like, hey, will you be on with us? Because I think it would be, because you don't have to be in the same place. Like we booked him again. Because I mean, he did the first one just because he walked in and said, hello, I'm Reggie. Nice to meet you.
I feel some things.
Yeah. And so I actually booked a session with him for my anniversary after our miscarriage.
Oh my God.
And it was just audio. So like I signed up. He has someone else connect him because he doesn't want to know anything about the person beforehand.
Yeah.
So as soon as I started talking, he recognized my voice, but he didn't realize I was who he was going to be talking to.
Yeah.
And he was talking about my miscarriages. Well, he kept saying like, your grandma's here. And I remember her from the first time that I read you.
Wow.
I know that I've talked with her before. And he said that she is with a young girl. And I thought, oh, okay, Emily's back.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, girl? How you doing? And he said, do you know if your grandma had any miscarriages? And I said, no, I don't believe she did. And he goes, well, she's with a baby that's a soul that's never been born. And
oh my God.
Chills again. Just chills.
By the way, she has this all on video.
Yes, I do have it all on video.
She let me watch it, and I was freaking like sobbing when I saw this. It is incredible. But go on.
So I said to him that I had experienced a miscarriage, and he said, well, I want you to know that your grandma has named this baby. She keeps wanting me to tell you that her name is Sarah. And we didn't know the gender of the first baby.
Yeah.
And I was in this place where I'm like, I don't want to name the baby because I want to believe that her soul is still there and maybe it's going to come back.
Yeah.
And it was just that the body wasn't ready to hold her soul. And so we never named her. But Shane and I did write a song called Do You Know My Name? And it was basically like, we wanted to know that if we did ever encounter her soul, would we know her? Would she have a name? Is she going to know who we are? And so he kept saying, your grandma wants you to know that she named the baby. I don't know how he knew. And like the day before that, I said, I feel really, really guilty because we named Jonah. We named our second loss, but we never named the first one. And so it was like, I need you to know that she has a name. This is what it is. And
oh my gosh.
the fact that the name was Sarah is interesting to me because my grandma was a very devout Catholic. And Sarah in the Bible is the woman who was like super, super old and was told like, you're going to have a child. And she's like, there's no way I'm going to have a child because I'm old. I'm past like childbearing years.
Yeah.
We've been trying for so long. Don't have a child. And the story goes like, no, you're going to have a child. And I had been told that I had a genetic mutation that essentially my body would spontaneously abort my pregnancies and that I would have to take certain medication and that even wouldn't guarantee that I would carry a baby full term. And so the fact that right after that, he says, she is showing a baby around you. And I said, well, I am pregnant and we haven't announced it. And he goes,
like they just had found out.
And he goes, I want to let you know that this baby is coming through. And
that part
he did.
makes you cry.
He did.
Crap.
It was wild. So like the fact that she named the baby Sarah, and Sarah believed that she was never going to have a child, and then she did miraculously, like friggin' 80 some years old. Me felt like I couldn't have a child because of my genetics.
And then literally
and
the
then
next
being
baby
pregnant with that baby, and that baby was a full-term pregnancy, and so was my one after that. So wild.
Yeah.
Wow.
So okay, so
oh my gosh.
having already had some backstory with this man, this medium who told you about Emily, did you go into this reading, like when he told you, did you like kind of like, it sounds corny, but like have an open heart? Like did you fully believe, or did you still have some like skepticism in this reading?
No. I don't have skepticism. Like I feel like I'm a pretty good judge of character. I feel like I can tell when someone's bullshitting or they're being disingenuine. So like the second that Reggie started talking, I'm like, you know some shit and you're gonna tell me it.
Yeah. And you can tell by the reaction of your reaction on the video that you 100% were like waiting for that confirmation. And then when you got it, it was almost like,
well, especially like you hadn't told him anything. Like you wait, like you didn't say
like,
I had a miscarriage.
Don't even think
you didn't say I'm pregnant. Like he said it all.
Yeah.
No one knew that we were pregnant.
It was very early because you were not going to tell people, I think.
No, I only started telling people after he said the baby was coming through. That's how much I trusted what he was saying.
Yep.
Because at that point, I'm like, he says he's coming. He's coming. Like there's no doubt in my mind. This man's legit.
And he did. That's amazing.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, our next crossover, we'll bring Reggie on.
Yeah,
seriously.
I would so love that.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
But this is one of the
highly
things we talk about
requested
too, is like moments like this where Reggie's getting information about your future, and so the future has been somewhat determined. So it's like it's so interesting.
I never
like
thought of that.
What can you figure out?
It's so the weirdest thing. We read a story very recently about someone who like. What was it? Like there was like some kind of type of message. Oh, it was about a dog. It was like they had a dream the night before, and it was like an uncle saying, like showing a bunch of images and saying like your dog is going to die tomorrow, and showed a bunch of images. And so then they were on the road the next day, and he was like driving, and he was like, he's like, wait a second, I recognize that sign. And he immediately like, the dog, I guess, like accidentally pressed on the button of the window and was reaching out, and a truck was coming by. And he was able to grab his dog because he had that message.
So he reached out and grabbed the tail literally had the dog by the tail out the window and pulled him back in
and saved his dog's life because he had the knowledge from this dream, which just blows my mind and gets me to those conversations where it's like, how much of the future is pre-planned and how do you like how come some spirits can step in and intervene, and sometimes like, it's how it's meant to be. Like it's this question of fate and destiny, and
well, because it begs the question of like, when a bad thing happens to me, how come a spirit didn't intervene? How come I didn't get warned, but this other person did? And it's like, how does it work? Or we don't have an answer. You guys probably don't, unless you somehow are like tapped in and could give us like
let me call
answers.
Reggie.
Well, like, I think it's interesting because there was such a point and like that he was saying, hey, these weird things that you were experiencing that you would have never picked up on were actually the spirits trying to warn you in the best way that they could. That like, hey, this is not.
I
the
forgot
situation.
one of the most shocking moments of the whole Reggie story from the beginning. So. The reason I was like, hey, there's stuff going on in my room. I had an iHome. You remember those like speakers that you could put your iPod in?
Yes.
It was not plugged in, didn't have batteries, but it started going off like I had set an alarm. I had a cell phone that was no longer connected to any service and had been shut off for like 2 weeks, started ringing like I was getting a phone call twice. So I asked Reggie if that was the guy who had completed suicide, whose name started with R. And he's like, no, that's your grandma. She's trying to warn you, you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing. And I was thinking about leaving school to move in with this guy who was abusive, and I was going to drop out of college. Like I was going to like disown my family was going to disown me because of it. And I was like, I don't care about love. But so I went home and I told my mom about this experience. And I said, so yeah, grandma came through and Emily came through. And then he also mentioned this guy, but I don't know what that is. He said that his name started with R and he had completed suicide. But he was like my family, but not my family. And she just looked at me with this blank face and she said, my cousin, Robbie committed suicide after his family found out about an affair that he had. Mm-hmm. And he thought they would never forgive him. Right.
Whoa.
So this person who was like my family, but not my family, who I'd never met, who went through this.
Yeah. Kind of like, hey, I can see that you're going down a path that I also kind of went down.
Yeah, I need to be here for you.
But can I also say like how amazing it is that he, in his astral like spirit form, has that understanding and has that like,
I need to help people.
Active mentality, because we hear stories, we read stories all the time of spirits that are like confused. Like we're literally talking to you from a haunted hotel right now. Where down the hall from us, it's haunted by a couple brides that 100 years apart had completed suicide in the same exact room after being like essentially left at the altar. So like there are so many moments where spirits are confused and like things do happen, and that they don't necessarily get to take that active approach to help others because they're trying to work through their own trauma and experiences and understand what happened to them. And there's some sort of like shroud in the astral plane that like we can't understand because we don't remember our past lives anymore or like what happened before. But like the fact that your mom's cousin was able to move past that and also recognize and intervene and be this like spirit guide for you, essentially. That's so beautiful.
Yeah, that really is.
It was really cool.
I had a dream, and I've never talked about this on the podcast. You've heard this, but our friend passed away a couple years ago, and I had a dream of her. Mm-hmm. And I won't get into too much details just because we have friends and stuff who listen to this, and we don't want to make it too personal. But she died under mysterious circumstances. And I had a dream about her kind of like the week she died. And she came to me and she seemed very, very confused. And I've never told anyone outside of the podcast that because I was like, I don't want to make people feel uncomfortable. But like, it is this sad thing where like spirits are confused. They don't, you know, like sometimes it takes time to adjust.
If it's something like sudden or
unexpected.
That's how my aunt.
And not intentional. Too. Yeah. So it was like this. Yeah, it was interesting, like with our friend who passed, like I think that we've kept up this guard, like we've shared a lot with each other, but we've also kept up this guard because in Los Angeles where we met at college, I feel like we're very lucky in that we have a friend group of like 12 girls that ended up being really close to one another and have maintained a friendship, which I think is sometimes like a very rare thing. And so I think we're very sensitive with each other about our friend Olivia who did pass away because it was heartbreaking for everyone, obviously, because it was sudden. And there was, I mean, obviously, like any death is difficult. But I think that there were things that happened that like pieced together. Like we all obviously like talked with one another about like what we think is going on and like helping each other through our grief. But there were things that she's like dropped in Sabrina's dreams or like come through mediums we've talked to and it's like started to piece itself together, and it is really interesting. Like the only experience I've had directly with our friend Olivia who passed was, and this is odd and I'm not sure who I told outside of probably you, Sabrina, but the night she passed, obviously it was sudden, so no one was like awake and predicting that she was going to pass.
I'm like clutching my microphone. We haven't talked about this. Like,
no.
Yeah.
But I was in Chicago at the time for a work trip, and I was staying at a hotel, and I woke up in the middle of the night and for some reason was like, I need to look at Olivia's location on Find My Friends. And she doesn't share her location with me. But I looked it up and I was like staring at it, and it was like, Liv doesn't share, like this person doesn't share her location with you. But I was like, she was the one person that I was like, I need to look at her location.
Like why?
And her and I, you know, like across our friend group, people have like individual friendships, and then we have our friendship as a group. And I think our individual friendship was probably a lot weaker than my relationships with a lot of other people in that group. And so it was a strange thought for me to say, like, I need to look at her location and see what she's doing right now.
Right.
And then flash forward about 14 hours. It's like the evening now of the following day, because it was like wee hours of the morning that I'd woken up. And a friend calls and tells me that she'd passed. And it took about a week to find out like when and what happened.
Well, we still don't know what happened. Like that's
Yeah, we have an inkling.
Kind of sad. Yeah.
But yeah, there's no confirmation in terms of what our friend group has been told. But like, point being is I found out that the moment that I had woken up and said like I need to check Olivia's location was actually the moment that she was passing away.
No.
Wow.
Yeah. I have chills again.
Oh my gosh.
But it's upsetting when things like that happen. Because there's like there was some connection. There was something some call out, and there's nothing that you can do in the moment because you don't know what it means.
No, right. Exactly.
No, but now you have all of these feelings of like, and I'm projecting here, but like grief or regret or like I
as if there was something that could have been done there when obviously you know there's
she clearly had already passed at that point. And Corinne is the type of person who throughout your life when people pass away, even if you're not that close with them, if you have a connection to them because you are so open to the paranormal.
We have different. Sabrina experiences connections in her dreams. And I get a little premonition-y. Where like around the day or like even sometimes like a year in advance, I've had moments where I'm like, someone's going to die here. And then like a year later, I'm like, someone is about to die. And then it will like come to fruition where someone I know died in that moment, in that place that I said someone was going to die like a year before.
But there's no way to know.
But there's I don't have enough information. There's not like this thing where I can hone in and be like, I have premonitions and I can warn people. It's just this. It's this
an
sudden
image, a feeling, and that's it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like close friends I've known like when someone's about to break up because I'm like I feel heartbreak all day long. I know someone's about to experience it, and then a day later like someone gets their heart broken, and it's the worst feeling because you feel it like it's your own feeling.
Yes.
But you can't step in and you can't do anything about it.
Right.
You were definitely like a spirit. You were like a guardian in a past life. Or like before
maybe
this
I was like
life,
a practicing witch and was like way more in tune with it, and then this life I've just like forgotten all my skills and like just have this feeling left
it's
over.
Like those energies are still there, but you're like, I don't know what to do with
everything else.
I feel that, and like it's weird when you have those feelings because you're like, I'm either spot on or I'm full of shit, and I don't know how to tell the difference.
Right, and you don't want to.
You don't feel confident enough to bring it up.
Yeah, no.
I was gonna say you don't want to be like too not dramatic, but you know what I mean, like too like this is going to for sure be a thing, and then people are like,
because it feels woo woo and it scares people.
You don't know how people are gonna react. There are certain things like where I had a friend who was like having a terrible eating disorder and like going through really like a terrible time in life, and I kept having really, really bad dreams about her. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna reach out to her and I'm just gonna be like, how are you? And then we don't talk every day. I hadn't talked to her in a long time. And she was like in a very, very low place. And I'm glad that I reached out to her. But that's something that's easy because it was like, it felt so obvious to me, and it wasn't this weird amorphous, ambiguous thing. It felt very straightforward. So
but then it goes back to the thing where like, you know, Jeri, with you, like Reggie giving you all of this information when you had the reading with him, it makes me wonder, like in that moment, Sabrina, like was it something that just like naturally like your energy absorbed what you need to, or is it spirit intervention where like someone's like, this person needs something, and if I give Sabrina the message, I know Sabrina's gonna reach out to this person and it's gonna like what are the connections?
It's so hard.
I feel like, you know, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia where they have like the board of red string and like thumbnails. I'm like, what is it?
See, I had that same situation happen to me where there was a girl I was friends with in high school, but like I had a best friend and she had a best friend, and then the four of us would hang out, but like we were not the ones that were close. And after high school, she was dating this guy and she ended up getting engaged to him. And I don't know why, but I felt the need to like take her out and be like, hey, you are not acting like yourself. This is very different. And that was not a conversation I typically would have had with her. She had like lost a ton of weight. Her anxiety was through the roof. And then time goes by and I randomly decide to message her and I'm like, hey, do you want to go shopping? Like, I feel like we should just meet and talk. Is everything okay? And she's like, I just broke off my engagement. I haven't told anyone. And that day we chose to go shopping at the mall where she met her now husband. Like, We went into the store and they connected, and now they're married. So like,
I've never heard this.
Oh my gosh.
Unreal.
That's amazing.
Oh, that makes me happy.
I sang at
That's
their wedding.
beautiful.
But also, like, it says something. It says something about like in the moment, Jeri. Like a lot of people could have had that feeling or that thought and then brushed it off or been like, why would I actually
have a meeting today. I don't have time for this or whatever.
Like, why would I? I'm not even that close to that person. Like, I don't.
She's gonna think it's so weird if I reach out to her. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
But you did it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
the world is so
we
interesting.
did it.
We did it. Okay, but I can't believe I love how much we can talk.
know.
Like this is amazing.
Easily we could go another
we
4
keep
hours
going
together.
But we do have stories.
This is truly the sleepover where it's like you stay up until like 2 a.m. nonstop talking.
See, this is why
who's going to be the first to sleep and draw something on each other's face?
Fall asleep.
See, this is why we're called Ladies and Tangents, because we want you to know that we do have a topic, but we may never talk about it.
All over the place on the journey there.
Yeah.
We're going to take several pit stops on the journey.
Lots of detours.
I love it. Okay, well, we did decide we were going to read creepy kid stories, and we have a bunch.
So we brought some from our listeners. You brought some from your listeners.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to go first?
Back to
you guys are our guests.
Well, we can switch. We can go like Ciara, and then I'll go, and then Jeri, and then Corinne.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's good.
Oh, well,
well, here's the thing. I don't read. So Ciara's going to read all of them.
Yeah, but
I'm going to read.
Okay, great.
Okay, perfect.
Ciara, can I send you mine and you can read it for me too?
Do you want to read all of ours?
Yes. I'm not a good reader either, but I just do it. I don't think I am.
You are. You definitely do. I've listened to
the
the
episodes
you guys
where like are, because we watch your videos. Like, you guys don't have nearly as many cuts as I would expect. And I think
really,
yes.
Thanks.
You know what? Here's the thing. We'll send you an uncut version of one of our episodes to make you feel better.
Well, this is very much like what it's like at a family function, because you just have to figure out where someone's going to take a breath and then you insert your
get in there.
sentence.
Yeah. We do that. Literally the only breaks we take is like bathroom breaks because a lot
the
of
camera
times,
shuts off.
And if we mess up, we just kind of roll with that. We're like, this is on brand for us, so let's just push through. Like, I can't tell you. I don't know how much you've listened to ours, but I have a really bad habit of mispronouncing words. Like, it's very
us
embarrassing.
too. We're
you say us too, and I point at Sabrina. I'm like, yeah, Sabrina does too.
This bitch can't talk.
Rude. I'm sorry. Who's the one who's like, oh God, I can't read today?
Okay, here's the difference though, is when I don't know, like, I'll approach a word and be like, how do I pronounce this, Sabrina? And then you'll give me the feedback. But you move in confidence throughout sentences.
So do I.
Just keep going.
That's what I do.
Here's my biggest like regret in life. No, not the biggest, but
your toxic trait.
6th grade. It was 6th grade. Picture this.
I'm 12 years old. I just got my period.
I had the biggest crush on Dylan Cruz. He was like cute soccer player who had like longish hair. He had a crush on my sister, who was the hot 8th grader.
And you had your mustache when you went
I had my mustache, my unibrow. I'm Pakistani. What do you want from me?
Are we the same? I had my mustache. I had my unibrow. I still do.
We're hairy women, and I'm proud.
It's true.
And I'm sitting in biology class, and I have to read from the biology book.
Oh no, this is an orgasm.
Yeah.
This orgasm.
Yeah, you know.
Yes.
And I still, to this day, and I read it so confidently, I get through the sentence and I look up, everyone is bursting out laughing. And I'm like, what did I say?
It's so terrible. Here's the thing too, that
to be fair, why'd they make those words so close?
They shouldn't have.
That's not on you.
And then you're gonna make 12
It should be something so different
unfair.
from any word we've ever heard.
I agree. My problem is, I don't know if this was also your problem, but I grew up reading and like not really interacting with other children a lot. So like all of the ways I pronounce things are ways that I read it in my head.
Yes.
Like I've just
Colonel
sounded
instead
it
of
out.
Colonel. We keep talking about that here in Texas. We're like Colonel Andrew Jackson
Bologna.
Johnson Smith.
Fillet mignon. I mean,
She thought cricket was pronounced cry cut.
crack cut. The way that it's. And I said it it so confidently, and I've never been made
why
fun
would
for.
you know? Unless someone said that's one of the things that I feel like I've gotten better with age, and I will credit my mom with this because I think she always approached vocab. Like, she's got a very amazing vocabulary and like pronounces everything exactly as you would have like a standard American, like no accent or whatever. And I think I was struggling in middle school because there are so many embarrassing moments like that where you mispronounce a word. And she always kind of like gave me the tools to be like, oh, instead of making yourself embarrassed or like letting kids tease you about it, you're like, oh, I've actually never heard that word said out loud before. Can you tell me how it's said? So it like kind of puts the pressure back on the other person.
Yes.
Go, Mom.
See, that's assertive. That's confidence that I have yet to have.
Assertive people. If there's anything I've found out, it's that we are not assertive
My
people.
dad always said to me, no one can hurt your feelings without your permission. And I was like, I don't give you permission. I don't give you permission to make me feel bad.
I disagree with that.
My own feelings.
You just got to grab the spotlight and put the light right back on them.
Yeah. Well, I just put it on me and I'm like, you don't like what you see? Look somewhere else. I don't care.
I fried a light. I'm like, let's be in darkness.
I was going to say, I run as far away from that light as I can.
We balance the scales nicely.
Yes. Exactly. We complement each other. This is why we work.
I is, truly.
I thought you said I is. I'm like, you is.
I is, man.
You know?
I is.
Okay. Ciara, we're going to put the spotlight on you and you're going to be the reader for the first story.
Sweet. Okay. I'll tell the first story. Here we go. No pressure on me, but I feel so much pressure now. Okay. Hey friends, so jumping right in, I kept this story about my son to myself out of pure embarrassment. Imagine my surprise when I submit to My Favorite Murder, the podcast, and they read it on their mini-sode. So it goes like this. I'm outside raking leaves one fall. My son, who is 3 at the time, is playing out there with me. He comes running up to me because he found a necklace in the yard. It was a dirty chain with a heart pendant about the size of a 50-cent piece. It looked like something from Claire's, honestly, and he asked to wear it. I said sure, because why not? He wore it all evening, and then we fought about him taking it off for bath time, but I eventually just let him wear it while also trying to clean it up a little. So he goes to bed, and I'm finally able to take it off him. I lay it on the counter, and I'm cleaning up. I pick it back up and inspect it a little closer to see what it looks like, and it opens. It's a locket. My excitement as I grabbed a knife to pry it open. What could be inside? A photo of someone's cute baby, maybe someone's long-lost love from a long time ago. It pops open, and dust goes all over my hands. Okay, not dust, it's ash. Motherfucking ashes. I only know this because I have some of my dad's ashes. Not only did they go all over my hands, but down the sink. The only thing I thought in that minute was, holy shit, my house is going to be so haunted from this. Not only that, but I was letting my 3-year-old play with this locket, bathe with it, and he slept with it. He also told me that he heard someone talking to him through the vent beside his bed.
No.
It says, okay, bye. Love you both, Nicole.
Oh,
I have so many questions.
Through the
That's the shit our listeners do. They leave you with so many questions.
Yeah. How rude.
Just like
what
goodbye.
was the voice? Is it a woman's, a man? I just want to know who the ashes belong to.
Well, I'll
and
be
why
honest
was it in
with
the
you.
leaves?
Here's a secret. I know Nicole.
You do?
Yeah, she's a friend of mine. So I can ask her these questions and get back
We
to
should
you.
do like phone a friend live, you know?
Yes. Be like,
Hey, Nicole,
I have
you
to
left
know.
us
We've got
hanging.
Nicole on the line.
Like, use your lifeline.
Oh my gosh.
She messaged me and she was like, do you need creepy kid stories? And she sent it to me directly because she's like, you're gonna want this.
You're going to want this. That's confidence that I need to embrace.
I know, and I
too,
read
like-
it and I was like, I did want that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Shit.
Thinking about it, part of me, and this is maybe the difference between Sabrina and I too, is like Sabrina always goes generally to the negative, dark, scary spin. And I always like try to spin it into this like heartwarming, intentional love story.
Yep.
And so part of me was like, oh, like the locket, like that. What luck for this child to have this other person looking over him. But the fact that the voice is coming from the vent immediately negates like all of those potential
Right?
feelings.
Yep. It's just like, what are you doing in there, bud? Why are you in the vent?
Why are you in a vent?
Why don't you follow me in and find out?
No.
Yeah, it's like the sewer, but the vent. It's like,
Come here, Johnny.
You can't tell me that your sister was possessed one time and then talk to me like that.
Maybe maybe I'm spreading a rumor and I was actually the one possessed and I'm
That is so I'm stealing my roommate's life of you.
I know.
Yeah.
I realize I'm living my movie.
Well, it's funny because earlier you were talking about like basically being the observer of your life and now trying to like step forward and like live your life. But like you also like observed such darkness. Why?
I thought you were going to say I'm observing my life because a demon has been living it and I'm finally trying to step forward and take it back.
That's not how I was filling in those blanks.
Again, the positive versus the dark.
I thought she was going to say you were observing yourself and now you're owning your own power and taking control of your life.
She's like, being a bystander.
Possessed. I was possessed.
I finally kicked the demon to the curb.
Yeah.
Get out of here,
man.
bitch.
Good for you.
Well, we all have our demons, but sometimes they're literal.
Yeah,
So
it's true.
So true.
it happens.
Sometimes they have us.
God. Yikes.
Yes.
That's spooky.
Do you want? Oh, am I up?
Well, yeah. Do
I
you
think
want
I
to
did
be?
say that was the order. Okay.
I don't know. I was in the bathroom.
Okay.
ASMR,
Okay.
champagne.
This is from our listener, Arentha. And the subject line is little ghost boy, I am not your mom. And then ... Maybe if you read this story, he will find his real mom.
Ooh.
Hi, guys. Sometimes I wonder why ghosts choose certain people to haunt. Maybe we look like someone they left behind on Earth, or maybe they were lost at the time of their death. Maybe they have unfinished business, or they just want to hug their loved one last time. Or maybe it's to share a story. Well, I guess it's my ghost's turn to share his story. My story is about a 2-year-old ghost boy who may have thought I was his mom. In 2011, I was living in Tuba City, Arizona. I was asleep and woke up to the sounds of footsteps and giggling. Whoever it was in the kitchen, jumping around and stomping their feet.
Oh.
Mind you, I do not have a little one. My kids were in high school at this time. So I lay there, scared and afraid to look up. I heard the little kid come into the room, and he was running around my bed, giggling and baby talking.
No!
The incident happened a few more times in the next 3 years. One night, I awoke to this little boy running around my bed again. This time, he managed to crawl onto my bed, and I felt him crawling on my legs.
No. You gotta move.
He was giggling and continuing with baby talk. I covered my head with the blanket and did not want to look at him. My friend woke me up and said I was crying, holding the blanket over my head. This little boy followed me to 2 other places that I visited. I clearly can remember him as a 2-year-old. He wore khaki-colored pants, a striped polo shirt, and brown shoes. It looked like he had a buzz cut. I remember because once I sat up in bed and saw him running around the kitchen table. From 2016 to 2018, I lived in Oklahoma with my boyfriend, and I thought this little boy moved on. But nope. I woke up to his footsteps in the kitchen and living room. He must have known I was awake because he came into the bedroom, ran around the bed, and I could continue hearing him babble and giggle. It happened a few more times, and one night he made it up to the side of the bed, and I felt his head hit my back. Oh my gosh. I woke up my boyfriend and told him he's here again. I was hysterical and so scared. My boyfriend got up and searched the house and found nothing. He then said to me, saying, maybe this kid thinks you're his mom, or you look like his mom, or he just wants you to be his mom. Tell him you're not his mom and that he needs to move on. But then he said, maybe it's not a kid, but a demon posing as a child.
Why would you do that? We gotta break up now.
So the next night before bedtime, I prayed, and I also told the little boy, I'm sorry you're lost, little one, but I am not your mommy. I'm sure your mom is also searching for you. So please leave me alone and go find your real mom. Thankfully,
Just fuck off.
So leave me alone.
Leave
That's what
me
I say to
alone,
kids at the
child.
park.
I banish you. Go find your own mom.
Not your mom. Yeah.
apparently it worked because she says, thankfully, that was the last time I saw him or heard him. But every night I still wonder, will he come back again? Will this story bring him back? I don't know. Thank you, Arentha.
I keep picturing the gorilla from Tarzan being like, I'm its mother now.
I've just adopted
we all want her to be our moms.
Yeah.
She was the best mom.
She was.
Truly.
Let's put that. Go there, kid.
Yeah.
There's a nice gorilla waiting to be your mom. It's not me.
It's so wild.
That is crazy.
I think one of the things that freaks me out is like, it's one thing to be in an apartment and have that and be like, oh, the little kid is just like here and like waiting to like find his mom, or it's like finding maternal figures to kind of like pass the time while he exists here. But the fact that he followed, like the little boy like followed her. Like he clearly
multiple
had some
places.
sort of like attachment to her and was like, I'm choosing you as my mom. I feel best with you.
It does make me wonder if like they are connected like through a past life in some way.
Like, what if you are his mom?
But like even like in a past life, we're his mom.
We're his mom. And you just banished him.
What the hell?
You know what I've always wondered is like, okay, so one of the most emotional things for me when I became a mom was realizing that the version of my son that I had when he was a newborn, like, doesn't exist anymore and will never exist again. So in my mind, because I'll look at pictures of my oldest son as a newborn and look at him now and I'm like, there's no fucking way that's the same kid.
This is not the same baby.
They don't look anything alike. So part of me is like, does that version of him exist somewhere? Like in another timeline? Like, does he exist? Is there, because time in theory is circular, like, is there a time where like it could cross paths and like she was maybe experiencing one of her children just like in a different timeline?
That's
I don't know.
so fascinating.
Parallel
we talk about that a
universe
lot.
kind of thing?
Yeah. And we talk about that a lot. It's like, what is
time?
Yeah. Well, what is time, first of all? What is life?
It's not real.
But parallel universes and like glitches in the Matrix always confuse me so much because it's like, okay, I have this theory. Because I think I'm invisible. I also am terrified. I think I'm going to die in a car crash. I have this theory that like anytime someone cuts me off.
We are the same person. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. How many times have I told you that that's how I'm going to die? Like as soon as you said it, I was like, are you joking me right now?
I accidentally ran a red light one time with her and she was like, no, this is how I go. It's fine. This makes sense.
Yeah, I'm convinced. Maybe we both, maybe we are connected from a past life and we both died in a car accident in a past life.
I'll tell you right now, we should never travel together.
I was just going to say that. I'm like, I feel like after this, we're all going to stay in touch and like we're friends now. But there's no way in hell you two are ever getting in a car together.
Nope, never.
Okay, but I have this theory that like so like every time I get cut off, I'm like, what if I actually got hit and I died in this accident? But because that happened in a different timeline, I now jump to a different timeline and I'm living here now because that's just where I continue on.
I swear to God, I almost said that in our last one that we talked to, because when we were talking about like, I think I'm invisible or I think I died, I always then go back to these moments where I had like near death, like,
yes,
if it would have turned this way, I could have been T-boned or whatever, like happens. Yeah. Where I just like, oh my God, I can't believe that I nearly missed that. And then I'm like, what if I didn't miss it? What if in another world, like this happened?
It did happen.
Yeah.
That thought is in my mind. Like every day.
Yeah.
Well,
constantly.
So this is reminding me of like a listener story we read. It must have been like a year or two ago at this point, but like someone was with their mom in a car or like was like on the sidewalk and essentially like remembers them getting hit and then like wakes up another 100 yards forward like on the sidewalk. This. And so they're like, did we die in that other version of the timeline? And like just got forward to another one? Like wake up in another timeline.
I like the idea of blooping forward.
Yeah, bloop forward. But like also if you bloop forward, like are you pushing out another like consciousness or are you just like absorbed into the next one? Like how does that work? If there's 17,000 versions of you and you bloop into one of them.
Is this why I have no memory of like anything before like age 13?
Because you got blooped.
It has to be.
Yeah, that's what I think. It's not trauma. It's definitely not trauma, and it has to be
What's
that
better,
I got blooped.
Getting blooped or Marco Polo'd?
Well, I've been Marco Polo'd.
I've never been blooped.
Not that I know of.
Not that you know.
You may have. You may have been blooped and you don't know it.
I just spit so much out of my microphone.
You're just like,
Gross.
here you go.
You just blooped all over your microphone.
Blooped all over your microphone.
I have a sock. Don't worry. You want to
This is what it's for. It's not for prepubescent boys. It's for me to just spit into the sock. The absorbency, it does the same thing.
Blooping into a sock.
Love a wet
Blooping into a sock, man. Urban Dictionary. Look it up, folks.
Are you reading another one?
I think.
Yeah.
Is it your turn or is it? Are we go back and forth?
We'll go back and forth.
You go
Okay,
and then I'll go.
I just think it's funny how the way that your listeners write their stories compared to ours is going to be very different. Yeah.
Also, like by far, the one that Sabrina read is probably like the shortest version of an email that we get.
But they're so
See,
beautifully written.
They are, and like ours are so long, but they're very much like how.
Hey, if you're here from ours, I'm not saying you aren't beautiful writers. You just take a different angle.
Yeah, like these are the longest one I had, and they're still short, but they do it very much how we are on the podcast.
Conversational.
Conversational and like kind of.
It's a tweet.
Yeah.
It's essentially like, I'm going to tell you something that's uncomfy, but I'm going to
do it in a funny way.
Yeah.
Like as if we're just chatting about it. Yeah.
Yes. Comedic
I love
relief.
it.
Exactly. Okay. So this is, hi, I'm Cheyenne, she, her pronouns. I work in a private religious school as a teacher. I only tell you it's religious because most of these parents tell their kids that the paranormal is not real. So I know this little girl wasn't making this up. Well, one day this little girl was having a very bad day. All day she was tired and her mom said she woke up and found out that the little girl was up all night painting her nails. Her mom was always late for dismissal, so I called the little girl to the double doors and was sitting on the floor with her talking. I noticed her nails painted different colors, and I told her I liked them. She told me, thanks, Ouchie did them for me. It took me by surprise, but just thought it was her sister's nickname or something. So I said, Ouchie? And she said, yeah, she lives in my room at my house.
No. No.
No.
When I tell you, I just wanted to throw this child outside the doors and call it a day. I mean it, not really. So me being me, I decided to ask more questions. Wrong choice. I asked what this girl looked like, and she told me that this Ouchie chick that paints her nails has bleeding holes all over her body that won't get better even with kisses. My response was,
that means she's tried to kiss?
Oh, no.
Right.
Oh, she tried to give Ouchie kisses.
I know.
Like a little, you got a boo-boo.
It's sweet, but also terrifying.
It's so scary.
Is that why her name is Ouchie? Because she's covered in them?
Yeah, because she's got boo-boos. She's got her Ouchies.
Oh
I know.
Hard pass.
My response was, oh, okay, while simultaneously shitting my pants. I tried dropping the Ouchie subject, but this little girl wanted to keep going. Again, my mistake for asking questions.
We love the accountability.
Yes. She then tells me that Ouchie keeps her up until the sun wakes up sometimes because sometimes she doesn't get to play with her during the day because of school. So the night before, Ouchie wanted to paint nails, and the little girl said at first Ouchie couldn't do it, so she painted Ouchie's nails first until Ouchie figured out how to paint her nails, and then went on to say when the sun woke up that Ouchie tucked her into bed. So it creeped me out, as one should be, and that day I just clocked out as soon as her mom picked her up and decided I would never ask about Ouchie again.
Oh my God.
The end.
If my kid tells me that Ouchie tucks them into bed, I'm like, well, Ouchie is also your mother now because I have to move far away from you.
You will stay here with Ouchie and I am leaving.
But the thing that's crazy about that story, and this is, again, I've said my son has like a connection with the paranormal world. I didn't even tell you guys about Debbie, but he had a person named Debbie who would like come and visit him, and I would hear him over the baby monitor talking and babbling and playing, and I would be like, hey, who are you talking to? And he'd be like, Debbie. It was always Debbie. And I would say, where is Debbie? Here. And he would like point right beside him. What does she want? My home. So like he was just like, she wants to be in our home, and like she wants to just.
What if he meant my home as in like
his body?
No.
Noah does give old lady vibes.
He does. He really does.
Oh my gosh.
Well, and he said that she was a nurse and like all of these things. He had like a whole thing about Debbie.
Now I'm just thinking about the time that Noah brought you water and told you to take sips when you were sick.
He takes very good care of me. He's a good boy.
Call me Debbie now.
And he is a nurse.
Does he have a middle name? Because if not, you should make it Debbie or just change it legally.
It's Noah Debbie. It's Noah Debbie.
Noah Debbie.
No, what's weird is his middle name actually does start with a D, so that's really weird.
Oh.
Noah D. Debbie.
The D stands for Debbie.
So, but I always said, I was like, I honestly don't mind the Debbies there because it seemed like they had a good thing going. Like she wasn't doing anything wrong. And like when he would cry and then I would hear him playing, I was like, oh, Debbie's got him. Like she's comforting him. I'm good. I don't have to go in his room. Like,
good looks, Deb.
Truly.
Wow.
It's like what tasks and
co-parents.
chores can you offload to Debbie? Like what's she willing to do?
Yeah.
Honestly,
Like, I'm
I
like,
just hope
thank you.
Debbie doesn't have a bunch of holes.
I
that
no,
she's
as far as
bleeding
I know,
out
she
of.
was she was just very
Had no ouchies.
no ouchies that I know of.
Ouchie?
But
Sounds
Ouchie.
terrifying.
and
Yeah.
like that's such a little kid. You can tell that like that didn't come from a parent. Like she's not making it
for
up from a
sure.
movie or a parent because like that's such a little kid way to explain those things instead of
Yeah.
like, you know.
Well,
So
and also
scary.
the part where it's like when she figured out how to paint my nails,
Yeah.
which means like there was a big barrier in terms of like the ghost
yeah.
being
So,
able to like move into the physical world.
It means
to
that the
paint her
ghost
nails.
can actively do and touch and do things.
I have picked all of my nail polish off.
while we've
Thank God Ouchie knows how to do this.
Ouchie, we need you to pay
Ouchie,
You'll
You'll
never
never
pay
pay
for
my
a
house.
manicure again.
A fresh palette for you.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm so sorry.
Do not call Ouchie to my house.
I would never. I'm sorry. Ouchie, we're
Don't
not.
stop talking.
Listen, we're not your moms.
We're not your mom.
You need to find your
like-
moms.
It's like Voldemort. Like you're not allowed to say Ouchie's name. Like never
I
speak. it.
fully believe if you say anyone's name 3 times, they think they're invited.
And then
But
it's
then when someone
Beetlejuice.
tells me not to say their name 3 times, I'm like, I have to say it 3 times.
You say it
What
like
you
17 times. The intrusive thought. It's like
Yeah.
Bloody Mary, Bloody
Over and
Mary,
over and over and over and over again.
No, you said it twice.
I know
Bloody
'cause
Mary,
I
Bloody
stopped
Mary.
myself, but I
Bloody
thought
Mary.
it another time.
I have tried it with Beyonce though, and she didn't come, so that was helpful.
Trying to get a free concert out of this bitch.
You have to join the Illuminati as well in order
Oh,
to get
well.
Beyonce to come.
Do you
Stanley
getting
Tucci, Stanley Tucci, Stanley Tucci.
We have been reached out to by the Illuminati.
Have you?
Oh, Stanley Tucci.
Stanley Tucci, we're summoning him.
He appears. We have a knock on our door.
Oh my god.
You called?
Daddy Tucci, I take everything back that I said in our episode.
He's got no shirt on. He's just like,
Please, where's my robe?
Yeah, we did get reached out to by the Illuminati, but I have beef with them because they only addressed Sabrina. So I was like, you know what, forget you.
They said, "Dear Sabrina," and they spelled my name wrong.
What?
Oh.
The disrespect.
What if they were
I
like,
know.
you spell your name wrong? We'll tell you how it's spelled.
Yeah.
We are the Illuminati.
Honestly,
Sabrina's like, great, another cult.
I'm
Sign me
in.
up.
Do you want my bank? Do you want to manage my bank accounts? Here you go.
I feel very
Here's all of
jealous.
Here's my social security number.
Don't do that
Yeah.
again. No, give your information out to someone.
you
on
guys
the
Have you
want to
internet.
hear a
done
funny
that?
story?
Oh,
One
you've
time
done it?
I accidentally put my social security. Listen, here's the thing. PayPal sent me an email and I was like, this has to be legit. So I clicked the link and they were like, all of your information's been hacked. We need it all again. And I was like, I don't remember putting my social security number in here, but I'll do it. And so I did it. And anyways, so I got scammed and I'm 30 and like not 80. So that's embarrassing.
It's the same
How did
year
you
my
get
mom
out of
got
it?
scammed.
What'd you have to do?
I just changed all of my like credit card information and stuff,
Oh,
but
okay.
100% someone could be me out in the world right now. Like, I don't fucking know.
The amount
It
of
was
school
me.
debt I have, go ahead.
That's what I mean. I'm like, my credit score is like 420. So have at it.
Plays up.
Yeah, I feel worse for you guys. Sorry, whoever takes this.
Yeah.
You
luck.
want-
Maybe
I don't
they'll
even
do
wanna be
better.
me,
Like maybe
but-
you'll notice your credit score is going up. Like,
Like,
you
thank
never know.
you.
It has. It really has gone up. So I'm like, good looks. Good looks, babe.
Thank you. Oh,
It does make you feel a little less aggressive towards the people that do succumb to scams like that. Like it's like the traditional like older person that does it.
Yeah.
But I feel like really they get so tricky nowadays. It's like
that's what my
your own
grandma
parent
came
is
to
messaging
me.
you, being like, "Wait, can you send me an Amazon gift card? I got locked out of our shared account."
Yeah.
And you're like, "Okay."
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's so tough.
Like my own grandma came to my house and she was like, "I got scammed." And I was like, "Me too, grandma." Like, it's okay.
See, I've just adopted this like worldview of just not trusting anyone. So even if even if Corinne right now asked me like, "Hey, will you give me an Amazon gift card?" I'm like, "Fuck you! I know what you're trying to do."
yeah. You want my money? I don't think so.
What were you playing the long game? You put 4 years into this, and now you want to? No.
Meanwhile, I pay our taxes. Like I have your social. Like I write your social down.
She's like, no, you don't. Prove it. What is it?
Yeah, what is it?
Right now. 001.
She's the first person
like
ever.
the Hollywood 555. Okay, I have.
Is this the last one?
Yeah,
I think so.
I'm sad. We have to pack. We tried to get later checkout, and they were like, "We can only do 1 p.m."
And we're like,
boo. They're like, "We have ghosts that are taking up these rooms.
We're busy.
Kick us out. We dare you." We'll get dragged out like live. You guys get the video of it.
By the ghosts, they've employed them.
Yanking our hair.
Good content.
Okay, this is from our listener Ashley. I have like a pit in my stomach thinking I'm gonna like not be able to read.
I'm really relieved I'm done.
Words.
I'm like, like when I finished, I was like, wow, I can relax now.
Normally it's just
I never had to read.
Yeah, you got it good.
That's a good deal.
Yeah.
We're gonna institute that on our podcast, and you're gonna be the reader now.
I don't know that
Sorry,
I like
you're
that.
the Sierra.
You're the Sierra.
We have decided we are. Yeah.
Whoever has a sock on their microphone has to read.
Whoever has a sock on their microphone.
Switch real quick.
Okay, this is from Ashley. I've had ghost encounters since I was a little girl, but the first physical encounter was in 2008. I was 23, almost 24. I lived 3 hours from my mom, and she was going out of town, and she asked to house sit. Whoa, already I'm fucking up.
This is normal for us.
She was going out of town and asked me to house sit for her. I had 3 toddlers at the time, and my car had just broken down. I wanted to go to a family reunion on my husband's side, but I reluctantly agreed to house sit instead. My mom drove to pick me up and my kids and took us to her house. We were only there for a few days, and after an afternoon of a
That is a tough sentence. I'll tell you right now, that was a tough sentence.
That was, yeah.
I love the support.
And after an afternoon of a trip to the library and lunch, it was time for the kids' naps. 2 boys and 1 girl. Now, my daughter was around 5 at the time and had her own room. My 2 younger boys shared a room. I put them down for their naps, and the boys fell asleep pretty fast, but I could hear my daughter playing with her toys in her room. I was sitting on the couch, relaxing, looking at the back door, and the couch was facing the kitchen and the hallway that leads to the back door. My mom has this huge dog, so the doggy door is large. And as I sat there listening to my daughter play, I remember looking at the doggy door and thinking, I bet a human could fit through that. I'm a light sleeper, so
intrusive thoughts.
Yeah, no kidding.
As I
you just
started
invited something.
Yeah.
Right. I'm a light sleeper, so as I started to doze off, I could still hear my daughter playing in her room, talking with her toys, and singing as she usually did. Then, out of nowhere, I opened my eyes because someone very angrily was choking me. I could not breathe. I could barely move as I tried to see clearly. I made out that the man was wearing work boots and blue jeans. I was being lifted off of the couch as if I could feel his hands around my throat. They were squeezing tighter and tighter, and I started to lose all function and consciousness. As this was happening, all I could think was that I'm going to die and this man is going to kill my children. I could not move. I managed to slightly open my eyes, and I see my daughter standing at the arm of the couch before my eyes rolled back into my skull. I'm going to die, I thought. And right then, my body dropped, and I could breathe again. I opened my eyes, shot up off of the couch, and no one was there. I ran down the hallway to check on my boys, sound asleep. I go to my daughter's room, and she asked what I was doing. And I replied, I'm just checking on you. Did you ever nap, or were you just playing? And she says, just playing. I checked the rest of the house and outside, and no one was there. So I sat back on the couch, thinking to myself, that dream was gnarly. What the actual fuck? And as I sat on the couch, rubbing my face in disbelief of what had just happened, my daughter came into the living room and stood right in front of me. And she said, "Mommy, who was that guy doing this to you?" And she started making the hand gestures of someone choking another person. I freaked out. I grabbed all of our essentials that I could. I threw them into my mom's truck. I grabbed the kids, myself. I called my mom. I told her, "We're taking the truck. We're going home." And I said that her house was haunted and whatever it was almost killed me. After 16 years of living in her house, my mom too believes me now. From Ashley.
Oh,
what? What did the mom experience that she believes you now?
I question.
I know.
Oh,
I know.
My God.
Oh.
Oh my God.
It's like the thing where like it's so terrifying to experience, but then you're like, oh, it was just a horrifying dream. And then of course your child comes out and is like, who choked you earlier?
Yeah.
Oh, I literally, oh my God, that makes me want to throw up. That whole story made me want to throw up.
So how do we know that no one was there?
Yeah, exactly. Did they just
that's
run
a really good
fast?
point.
Oh.
That's a really good point. That is
Well, I
really
think that-
terrifying too.
I need the information about why the mom believes her, because if there's other things that have happened, then that would explain that, maybe that guy wasn't there. But like, how do we know he wasn't there?
Either way, not a good situation to be in.
No.
Danger all around.
It's scary because if it was a person, like a person got into the house, which is terrifying.
Yeah.
But if it was
Through
a
the
ghost,
doggy door.
it truly had the energy to physically strangle her, which is something that I feel like is so rare when it comes to the paranormal.
Oh yeah.
Like, sometimes they throw things, but like it's hard. Like you don't hear many stories where they like physically harm you.
Right. Oh my God.
Well,
and
especially
also,
because
too-
at least from what I've heard about spirits and like energy, it takes a lot for them
even
to
like move things,
to make
right?
a sound.
Yeah.
So like whenever I was having my electronics go off in my room, like he was saying, she's using every bit of energy she has to get your attention through this electronic.
Mm-hmm.
So like to imagine that someone has the power to lift you off the couch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Right. And I think so many times when we listen to stories like this, there's always the thought in our minds, like, what if it is an actual person? What if there's someone living in your walls? Like that's a true, real fear.
That's
of,
always
of
what
people.
I think.
Yes. But at the same time, like the fact that her daughter was there at the edge of the couch watching it happen it does make me think that it is a spirit, because I just think that if someone came in and had the ill intent to actually like choke and lift a mother off of the couch with her 3 young kids at home, I would assume that it wasn't just like, I'm going to choke and leave. It's there's
The old
more
choke and
ill
leave.
intent there. Right?
Choke and leave.
And too, like, obviously, like the daughter must have observed. I mean, that's obviously trauma for her. Like, maybe she'll. Yeah.
Well,
But like,
my
I
God.
can't imagine being a kid and like just watch. I feel like there must have been some understanding to like just be watching it happening and not be so scared that you're like, I need to run because this is an actual person. Like, was there an understanding that it was a spirit?
Do you guys ever think, like, when you get stories from your listeners about this, like, do you ever think of the kids of the stories or whoever it is, like, they're going to have a podcast in 10 years from now and they're talking about their traumas of who we are?
Yeah, I hope so.
I hope so too.
I hope so. Part of me, before the end where the daughter kind of validated that it happened, part of me was like, is this just a really intense sleep paralysis situation?
Right. Because I've had like sleep paralysis where it feels like this is, and actually the first time that I had sleep paralysis was a dream like that, where I had a dream that I was like running along your backyard, actually, backyard's near hers, and then she has a pool, but in my dream it was like lower.
My parents do.
Yeah, not here, but at her old house. So it always happened as like childhood places I would go to.
Yep.
But anyways, I was running and I fell in and into the pool. And then this person who was chasing me grabbed me by my throat and pulled me out of the pool and was staring at me. And when I woke up, like sleep paralysis, everything in my room was the way it is, except that person was standing there with their hands on my throat, like grabbing me. And I could not move. But I swear to God, it was like they were there. I swear to God, they were there.
Yeah.
And it was probably only that I was frozen for like a minute, but it felt like
It feels like
Forever.
Yeah.
And then they were just gone, and I was awake, and I was like, ah. It was so scary.
That's the other thing about the paranormal is like the way that ghosts and especially powerful like demon or darker spirits or powerful spirits can manipulate time
Yeah.
is so unsettling.
The most recent sleep paralysis episode that I had, I was sleeping up in our room here in this house, and it was just me and my son who were home. Ollie, Forrest wasn't born at the time. Shane was at work, and I heard footsteps in the hallway, and I heard my door open, and I thought, oh, Shane forgot his keys, like he just came back for his wallet, like whatever. And I opened my eyes, and an old woman was standing in the door, and she was smiling at me, but like in a way that I didn't like.
It's like not a good smile. It's like leering.
Yeah, like mischief was on her mind.
Yeah.
And then she turned around and started walking into Ollie's room, and I could see her on the monitor getting my son. And it was like one of the most terrifying things I've ever experienced. And I just have to tell myself it was just sleep paralysis. It was just sleep paralysis. It was just your mind making just silly
That's what you
jokes
needed to say. That's what you,
Because that feels so challenging too to you as a mom, being like, you're trapped here and you can't do anything, and I have one-on-one alone time. I have access to your child.
The way that she was dressed was very like old-timey. And then not that long after that, Ciara shows up to my house, and she thought that I was in the breezeway waiting to let her in.
Oh, yeah.
And I wasn't. And she was like, why is Jeri just standing there? And she was like, Jeri,
literally
I
saw somebody standing like they were going to let me in, but they didn't.
In old-timey clothes.
Yeah.
Oh my
gosh.
And then I told her about the sleep paralysis thing.
And I made a joke like, why were you just standing there or something? I was like, it looked like someone was standing there, but like in a older like Victorian outfit. And she like freaked out and was like, I swear to God. And then told me the story, and we both panicked because it was terrifying.
Jeri, your house is haunted.
I think I'm haunted.
I was gonna say I think it's her.
Yeah, it does sound like it's you. You need Reggie to come in and
any medium I've ever talked to has always said that I'm a sensitive, like that I am someone who's open to the spirit.
Yeah.
Well, because you guys are the same person.
We're you guys are the same. Corinne and Jeri are the same. Ciara and I are the same.
Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah.
Well. Great, we're all haunted here.
We're all haunted here.
Everyone. Everything we know.
That was so sweet sounding. We're all haunted here. Yeah. Your video did just glitch when you said that, and so I'm even more scared. But that's fine.
It did. We're in a haunted hotel, so the ghosts are like, yes, we are haunted here.
I know. I was gonna say we pushed it this long without anything happening. I feel like we're really trying. Like,
we're testing
the waters. Yeah.
Well, so far in this room that we're in, because we're staying in the Driscoll Hotel in Austin, Texas, which is supposed to be the most haunted hotel here. And I haven't had anything happen, but every single time Sabrina goes into the bathroom, the lights flicker.
Not every time. When I just peed, it didn't, which is great.
But like,
to be fair, that happens.
You're probably
in my
at
house
like
70%
right now.
Yeah.
Yikes.
I was showering and shaving my legs yesterday, and the lights flickered twice, and I was like, okay.
I'm more shocked that you shave your legs than I am.
I know. I was like, what's that like?
Lights flicker.
It's hot. It's hot in Austin. I usually
gotta wear shorts.
I'm telling you. I'm like, I may as well be Bigfoot.
Same.
And
what does that say?
Yeah, what does that say about
Corinne?
Corinne?
You guys, like, we keep it in the family over here.
Yeah. What does that say about Corinne?
Corinne's attracted to hairy people.
Hell yeah.
If you see it every day, sometimes it just like goes.
Anyway, it's hot here and I needed to shave my legs, and now Corinne is no longer attracted to me.
Did you want me to be?
A little. Would be nice.
Yeah.
A confidence boost, right? Of course. We're all attractive here, you guys. We're fine.
We're all haunted and attractive here.
Hell yeah.
Very true.
Confidence.
Well, confidence.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for bringing your listener stories and for bringing all of your stories.
Yeah.
There's
so many.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much. This was so fun.
It was so fun. Our sleepover was so fun. If you haven't already checked out the first part where we just get deep and talk on tangents, on Ladies and Tangents, please go check it out. And we will see.
Here, should we?
Okay, we'll do it. Okay.
We say see you on the other side.
And you can whisper that.
Everybody,
you guys whisper with Sabrina, and I'll just say it normal.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. See you on the other side.
Very spooky.